All right, let's refresh this and see if this works, or we're just going to have to ditch this completely. There we go, that worked. On, save. Okay, we're going to come over here, and we're going to add this to this playlist. Done. Save. Let's go back to this. Things are not as user-friendly as they should be. And delete these things right here. Where's the option to delete it? More actions? Delete forever, yep. Should only be one feed on there now. I guess it's taking a while. All right, let's go back to this one and put this on the live feed as well. Okay, hopefully this will work now. So I've found a workaround so that we can have this video with the camera not reversed. So we're going to skip this. And let's put live chat on. I don't know if this will work. Okay. What's up, Justin? I think you're there. Okay. So anyways, we're going to come back to working on the Bimbo bomber here. Put on the super readers on. All right, we did go to the store and we got more refills on the strong tone and the dark tone, even though one store had strong tone and didn't have dark tone, and the other one had dark tone and didn't have strong tone. So we got 2 of each so we don't run out of that stuff. But right now we are using the dark tone. Basically the liquid, the black one. All right, we'll put some of that there. We'll get some water here. It's getting pretty dirty. And we've already done all of the washing on this side. We just need to come back to this side and do it, which is, there's not a whole lot left. Then after that, we're going to do the weathering on it. And any kind of rustification that we need to do. And she'll be good to go to join the rest of them. Just did the final grass cutting of the year, 39 degrees, felt good cutting 2 acres. Well, that's good weather to cut the grass in, that's no doubt about that. 2 acres, that's a lot. Well, yeah, it's a lot. That's twice as big as my property. You have a riding lawnmower, or? I always cut my own lawn until we came to this place, and it's just like, you need a riding lawnmower or an entire weekend day devoted to like cutting your lawn. I'm like, I don't get that many days off. What are you doing? What you doing? I always like saying that in an Asian accent. It's funnier. What you doing? We're building this, we're taking this dream, what is this? Barbie Dream camper? I can never remember what this thing is. We're turning this into the Bimbo bomber for Gaslands. So, we added extra armor plates. We got a mortar that's going to go back here. Just going to cause all kinds of chaos. So, this is my next build. This is going to be a 35-point vehicle. And I saw this and I was like, I got to get this. This is going to be insane. This is about having fun. It's about having something ridiculous. Well, you know, you want to play serious, but, you know, it's about being ridiculous. John Deere ride-on lawnmower. Excellent. Your name is Miami and your sister Ruby and you're big fans. Welcome. Ice cream truck of the Gaslands. Well, not this one. This is actually a Barbie camper. But I do have the ice cream truck. That my reggae truck is the Rasta Blasta. And I thought it was going to do really well in the game the other day, but it blew sky high. It got clipped. It was moving at a good clip, then it got clipped, stopped, spun out in the middle of the field. Everybody came by and took a blast on it, and it's got a lot of ammo, so it exploded all over the place. Yeah, so this is a really cheap hobby. I mean, this costs like $1, right? And I mean, it's almost too cheap. I don't even know how they make it with. I don't know how to make this for $1. It doesn't make any sense. I must have failed that class where all this adds up to $1. And I don't strip them anymore. I just cover them in a clear coat, in a flat clear coat, which basically gives them a finish that a wash will adhere to, and I give them a brown wash, and then you just paint details from there, and they look pretty darn good. What's up, folks? I really wanted to take more of these apart, but I still have several to do here. These have all been taken apart. And this is basically like, for instance, this one has a brown wash on it. It's not much, but you can tell so it doesn't look like a complete factory finish. We'll do the panel lining on there. We'll paint the front. This is a Ford Focus. Ford Focus RS? Yeah. It's got no lights or anything painted on there, but it's got good detail. I mean, it's there. You just need to, paint it. I don't want to repaint these. I mean, look at these beautiful stripes of this Nova or Chevelle. It's one of the two. I think it's a Chevelle. And, it's beautiful stripes. We just gave it a wash on it so it doesn't look as factory finished on it. So. So I'm providing all the cars for our games, which sounds like it's a punishment, but it's not. Because some people just want to play the game. Most people just want to play the game. Some people want to be creative and create their own stuff. That's really a minimum of people. And the way around it is, it's people don't get to pick what vehicle they. I mean, if you really wanted to play a certain vehicle, you could. But that just keeps me from building some awesome vehicle, and I always use it all the time. I'm like, it's not about that. It's about the narrative. And I think at some point in the future, I'm probably going to film games that are going, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I really need a camera. I really need a camera guru, somebody who's really interested in the camera part. I'm not. I'm interested in doing this part. I'm an artist. So we're going to have to move the camera as we go. But the game definitely provides a really interesting narrative with things that are unexpected. The last game we played, we had one vehicle that went out of control. It went out of control, it went airborne. It landed in a pack of vehicles. It detonated like 2 other cars along with it. So you went from having like 7 cars in the race to like 3 all of a sudden in a moment. Do I keep all my finished models in the same room? So normally they're back here. Normally they're in the case here with all the tanks and everything. But what's happened is, in order to travel with them, I have to roll them up. And the only thing, I was looking at actually getting like a traveling case for them, but it's just too expensive. It's like, a couple $100. And even if you have one that has like foam inserts that's made for the cars, they're going to add extra pressures on the pieces. Okay, there's going to be parts on the car where they're loose and they can move around in the foam, and there's parts where they'll be too tight and you have to push the foam out of the way. And I didn't want to like them get damaged, so all I have them, I'll show them to you. I have them in this. I have them in this box. They're in my duffel that I travel with. This is like really basic, but it works. So they're all here. All my cars are here. So let's say we take somebody like, who's this? The Pimped Python, okay? So I've got a paper towel, this wrapped Pimped Python in it, and they all sit in here like they're not moving. And we unwrap it, and there it is. It's just rolled up like a tampon, I guess. And that's it. So that way you can find it easily. And then when it's time to wrap it up, just wrap it up gently. And this has worked pretty well. So when I get home, I can unwrap them and put them in my case. But then if I'm playing once a week, I'm doing that BS every week, which is kind of a pain in the butt. They're protected there. Dust isn't getting on them. I think I'm going to keep doing that. Unless I know that, like, I'm not going to use one for a while, Because what we end up doing is, I've made cards for all of them. This is probably the best thing, period. It really gets us going, like, really quickly. So I've got a card for every one of them. So there's a picture of the actual vehicle, so it's easy to match up. Lighting is. Let's see if we can kill this and maybe not be as dramatic. So here's each individual car, and it tells you what gear it can be in. So we have a die on here that you could dial that up to 5. Tells you what the handling, how many dice you can roll for that, the damage points you can take. Real simple. I like the picture on it because it's easy to identify. Which one's called that? Here's Jerry's Skids. Picture of the car. It's the same picture that I post on Facebook. The weapons that are included on there. If there's any special skills, what I've started doing is they're down here, and it actually describes what the special skill is. Like this one has slipstream. So it says if it's a tailgate collision, it can decide to go up and down one gear, and it gets a hazard, and nobody can react to that. So, Hassenpfeffer, High Roller, etc. I like that cabinet. Where'd you get it? The one behind me is an IKEA. Don't ask me which one it is, but it's an IKEA, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 6 levels on it. Plus, it's got a big level underneath it. The problem with our hobby stuff that we have is our things are relatively small. So if you have something that doesn't have a whole lot of dividers vertically, you waste a lot of space. Now, you don't want them too tight because then you won't get enough light in there to shut. But this place has superb lighting. I mean, I've got really good lighting in the roof here. So the lighting is really good, but that's what I've been doing because we're not probably going to play until the 22nd, but I don't really feel like unwrapping them or everything. And I really don't have a place for them because let's see if we can do this correctly without having a disaster happen. I've got, of course, I don't know what the hell I'm showing you guys, but I've got all the cabinet space consumed by all the armor, with the exception of, well, here's some of the new cars. Here's the new cars over here. But that's my desert stuff. That's my Africa Corps stuff. The British and Germans, yellow Germans, early Germans, and then we got Soviets and Americans and stuff like that. I really don't have space for them. So I think that I'm just going to keep them rolled up as much as I'd like to have of it here. My ancients aren't anywhere either. My ancients are are stuck in cake pans. My ancients are up there. You know, they're all closed up there. So I wish I could have all the stuff out. It doesn't make sense to pull all the cars out and then roll them, and you know. I mean, if I knew you were going to pick certain ones, but I really kind of want, you know, any of those cars are eligible to play. So, and it saves me from, you know, spending $200 on a freaking case. Don't really want that. I mean, for $200, I mean, I don't think this cabinet costs $200. And $200 is a lot. You know, for like one of those like custom cases that they do for like people have like for Flames of War and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't really want to spend that kind. I don't want to spend that kind of money on that. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so back to basics. Back to this. So, as much as I want to stop and go and make a ramp, I need to finish this. I worked on this morning. I didn't get to finish it. I had to go break off and go take the car for an oil change, and then putz around town, do some other things. But I'd like to finish this before I go into something else. Otherwise, you have a half-finished vehicle. And I've got a lot of half-finished tanks. Not that I can't just go back and fix them, but, you know, and finish them, but, because I got even more tanks that aren't in here. I mean, I got like a lot. So it's not like we're not going back to tanks. We're just going to give it a break a little bit. Because I don't mind doing the tanks, but this game's a heck of a lot more accessible than the other one. Hope your feed's coming okay. I'm seeing kind of a blur. Am I way behind? Did it stop or something? It's playing in the past. What the hell is going on here? Okay. It's technology crap. It's amazing I've been able to make any videos at all. I'm not programmed to be any good at that. But I looked up today, I'm like, how do you do a live feed with it without it being reverse? So instead of going right through the YouTube app on my phone, I went through Streamlabs. So but this has worked well. I know that back when we played this game before, around, well, when it first came out, around 2017, something like that, we would spend about an hour trying to make cars, and everybody would not have a clue and ask a million questions, and everybody would end up making the same type of cars, and then you'd play, and then you wouldn't play for 2 months, and then you'd come back, and nobody would remember how to play the game again, and I'm like, this is basically the only game I'm playing now. And it's not that I like it so much, but it does provide a really good narrative. And in the case that something comes up which doesn't make sense to any of us playing, we can just decide to play it a different way, you know? No harm, no foul, you know? Yeah, you like the dark cabinet. As far as carrying my miniatures around, I use a carrying case from Home Depot. Well, all of my stuff is magnetized except this stuff. I don't want to put these guys on stands. You know, I don't mind putting the tank stuff on stands, but I don't want to put these guys on stands. And I really thought I wasn't going to travel with them. But we're starting to play this, and it's during the holidays. I can't really host games during the holidays. And too much stuff going on. So let's go over to Mitch's place and trash his place. Whenever I host a game here, I'm gonna host a game on the island. I have an extremely large kitchen island. That's the thing, is anywhere here, the lighting is just superb. The guy who built this house, like, he wanted like LEDs everywhere, and it's like, it's really, really bright. I've actually always had really good lighting when I was working on my hobbies. Whether it was in my own painting room, with my drafting light. I'll go to a convention and the lighting, it'll be just absolutely piss poor. I'm not used to that. Yeah, it's just a cabinet from IKEA. That's all it is. I don't remember how much it was. I don't think it was $200. I thought it was 100 and change. Made in Italy, or some, it's all particle board. Everything's particle board. Okay, is there a line? There is. There's a little bit of a line here. Because this is really a door. And this goes all the way across. It's got details on here, but sometimes the details are really faint. All right, and then we've got like this, like a little window or something up here. This is one of the few Hot Wheels that actually has a metal body, or the frame, the undercarriage is metal, and the cover is plastic. That's unusual. Most of them are the other way. So we're just accentuating those lines that are there. And we're going to come in and we're going to do the weathering on here. All that stuff's going to pop. Otherwise, you're never going to see all these details at 3 feet away. Now, I got one of the local players went out and I got the rules. I'm like, I'm not trying to entice anybody to play this game. I'm just kind of like, this is what I'm doing right now, and it seems to be working pretty well. It's allowing me to create new stuff. The rules are entertaining enough, and since we're not going to run into the convention or tournaments or anything like that, if something just doesn't make sense in the rules, then we can play it a different way. Most of the stuff's actually thought out pretty well. I think the point system of what vehicles cost is thought out pretty well. I don't know if that's intentional. It might have just been clobbered together at the last minute, but I'm not messing around with the point values of different weapons and things like that. And the game has a nice way of balancing who's in the lead and who's going to actually end up winning. Because the guy in the lead's not always the winner. Am I going to put antennas on the roof of the vehicle? That's a damn good question. Probably not, because they don't have to look ultra realistic, and it's just something that's going to break, and it's going to be really hard to roll up in the paper towel. That's probably the biggest reason not to do it. Reminds you of Twisted Metal. Everybody has played Twisted Metal except me. It must be a PlayStation game. I think it's a PlayStation exclusive game, so that means I didn't play it. The only game that I played that was Car Wars-ish is this game that I got a long time, and it came for free with my Mario Andretti racing wheel that I got from my Gateway computer in 1999. And it came up with this game that was, a couple years old at the time called Interstate 76. And if you look at it now, it looks like, it looks terrible. Okay, but, it was set like in the 70s, and it's got the, funk kind of music, and it's Car Wars. It's Car Wars, and basically like the desert. It seems like it's like in Arizona or something like that. I don't know if it takes place, but I remember being rather fond of the game. But that's how I found out about it. Is it came with the first wheel that I got for my computer, which ended up being well made, but a disappointment. Because you can actually drive more precise with like a joystick or something like that. Even though that's how you want to move a little bit, you're just bumping it all the time. Instead of, smooth transition, your bump. So if you look at you're like, oh, let me go over this way. Let me move over, But it's more precise than that. Oh, you heard of that game? Yeah, I never played Twisted Metal. I was going to get either the PlayStation or the Xbox. Back when Blockbuster was around, you could actually rent both systems in a couple games, so I rented both of them. I actually liked the PlayStation controller better, at least the PlayStation 2 versus the first Xbox. Never played the PlayStation 1 at all. And the Xbox just had games that I liked more. That's all. So, and I don't know that there's that many games that are exclusive to one platform over another. I know the State of Decay that I have is definitely an Xbox exclusive, but you can play it on a PC as well. All right, we're just about done with this. We just need to put a little bit around here, and then we could do we're going to have to paint the spare tire that's back here. And then we'll do a crash course in weathering this thing. And should look pretty damn decent. Talking about Twisted. Yeah, I never played it. Everybody that there's some games that everybody speaks fondly of, and that's one of them. I've never heard anybody say something bad about that game. There's one game that I played a demo of. It's called something like Carmageddon or something like that. I'm like, oh, this ought to be great. Because it's got like really graphic crashes, and about 2 or 3 of them, you're like, you've seen it all. It's all crashing and like not enough substance, I think it's called Carmageddon, which is a great name for a game. This is almost like a little skylight or something up here. All right, let's do a quick check. The front could use a little bit more here. A little bit more there, This spot, everything else on it looks good. This side, that's all set around there. Let's go around this skylight a little bit more, make it pop. Actually, there's a little line, a tiny little line. It goes all the way across. Here. And this is just the original color of the vehicle for the most part, except for the one on the armored pieces. The original color of the vehicle with a clear coat on it, a clear flat coat on it, so that all these washes and stuff would adhere. If I hadn't done that, this stuff would just be wiping off. It'd be like, you know, it'd be too oily, so to speak, for it to stick to it. Okay. Moving on to this side, we have to do the tire. Moving over to this side, which is the one we were just working on. There's a little line here. All this looks good. That looks good. The roof is good. What do you like more, square bases or oval bases? I don't like sharp corners. It's distracting. Unless you're like building like, say like a Napoleonic regiment. Okay? That's a good question. That's a good question. I prefer rounded corners. So like, for instance, I don't play Flames of War. But the bases that Flames of War makes for their figures, I really like. I really like they're beveled. It's just like, it looks right to me. You know, and I don't play Flames of War because, honestly, the game could be much better if it just had more detail. You know? But, like, all their products are pretty good. I mean, you know, their ideas, like their basing ideas, the triad I use of colors for my weathering is from Flames of War, you know? They do a pretty darn good job. Now this is going on the inside. Let's see how much of this is visible before I go and even fool with this a little bit. This is going to go in here. This goes here. This goes. This goes here. Okay. You can't see anything inside. I'm not painting the inside at all. I'm not gonna paint the inside at all. Not only that, I'm gonna go ahead and seal this bitch closed. What? Where's the glue gun? This is like my best friend now. And I've only had a glue gun for 2 years. But it's great because it's like instant epoxy. It's better than epoxy. Well, epoxy grabs better than anything. But it doesn't make as much of a mess. Of course, it's not as strong as epoxy. It's forgiving. Like if somehow it gets debondered, you can just pull this stuff off. I'm wondering why I can't pull it off of the end, though. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend getting one. I just happened to Amazon this one. This one happens to be the Gorilla brand one. I just figured the Gorilla brand one, even though it's made in, you know where, it's got better quality control than just some random named one. Now the problem that we have is we are out of plugs. So we're going to take our extension cord. Let's plug this thing in here. And just take a moment, and definitely get one that has a high speed setting, a heat setting. You like oval. You like rectangle bases for cannons. Yeah, oval would work really well for cavalry. I would think. For a skirmish game, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, this doesn't look like much yet. When we get to the weathering phase and the drippings, this thing's all going to come together. I mean, it's looking pretty good, but that's just from experience of doing the other ones I've done. Not yet. Takes a little bit. Yeah, I don't like square corners. I don't like square corners, but the main reason is because unless it's made of wood, the corner is going to rub off. The paint's going to rub off of it, whatever's on the corner. And wood doesn't rub off as much because it penetrates. There we go. All right, let's see if this is enough to do it. So we're going to put this closed, and we're going to splooge a whole bunch in here. And then we're going to hold it like this and see if that's good enough. It's funny, this one only has one rivet on the bottom. You know, it's like wedged in, and then you tilt it down, and it goes through this one rivet. I got another one that has like 6 rivets on it, so it's like, it just depends on what the designer wanted to do. All right, so before we weather it, we're going to paint this tire back here, the spare tire, and all these areas that are here towards the bottom, we're going to paint in a metallic color. It's going to look like a bumper or a rub rail or something like that. All right, we can go ahead and unplug this little guy. Put it over here. All right, let's go ahead and do the... I know we used the black this morning. I'm sure it's not alive. Long dead. So we're going to come over here and see if I can avoid getting this all over myself. And yeah, I'm going to use the same. We'll use a thin enough brush so we hopefully don't get this all over any of the other parts. More Gaslands. You got it, man. Oh, you're here. Oh, here's a car for you. I had a tow truck around here, but this tow truck's got all kinds of bling on it. See if I just pulled it out this morning. Where's Tri-Tark's blinging tow truck? Maybe you don't want to see a tow truck. Maybe you've had your fill of tow trucks. I don't blame you. Yeah, this thing right here. Look at the bling on that thing. Thing-a-ma-bling. And I might just use this is a cool vehicle. This is a cool vehicle. A bit, you know, a bit gangsta. Yeah, it's you don't hate your job. Okay, good. You haven't done it long enough. And then you've got some things like this one. This thing's insane. This thing is so heavy because the bottom of it is metal and the top of it is also metal. So this is all metal. I'm not going to take this thing apart. I actually don't even know how I would go about doing that. But, yeah, I think this is This is a clown car. I think this is supposed to be a clown dragster. See, now I can show you guys stuff and the writing on it's not back asswards. Ha ha Hot Wheels, not so funny car team. Now, this thing is extremely heavy. I think it's supposed to be a Corvette. I don't know if I'll end up actually making it a dragster per se. Looks a little too robust for a dragster. So we're going to paint this the spare wheel that we have here. And then I'm going to probably paint the ladder also. Because right now it's just accentuated with black around it. We're going to go ahead and paint the ladder. Probably make it metallic. What personal vehicle do you have, Tritark? I think you got a Dakota, right? You have either a Ram or a Dakota or something like that. I meant like a full-size Ram truck or a Dakota. Clown Express. Yeah, I have a whole set of clown cars. I got 5 of them plus that one. The 5 actually came in it was a package deal. I got them all together. And they have all like writing and stuff on them like that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to repaint all that stuff. I wanted to, you could see all the cool graphics that they already put on it. You know, there's some people out there that are scared of clowns. I'm not one of them, but I wonder if there's anybody that's scared of clowns and they didn't see the It movie. So I haven't seen the It movie, but as a kid, I didn't like clowns because I didn't want them to come up and like get their like face paint and shit all over me, right? That's what I was worried about. I wasn't worried about them doing anything else. You know, touching me inappropriately, or pulling me into a little car that only sits 2 people, and now there's seven of us smushed together. None of that stuff. Full-size trucks today are too big. You can't park the damn things. Yeah, my wife borrowed one, and she didn't understand how people could get around it. Yeah, it's difficult to park that kind of stuff. The only truck type vehicle I had an Xterra for a while. I had a used Xterra for about 4 years. And the AC went on it. So I drove a freaking black hot box for 4 years. I still like it. Like aesthetically, I think it's a good looking vehicle. Gas mileage wise, it was horrible. But it was really cool because it was tall enough that you could keep an eye on the person that was in front of the person that's in front of you. So like, 2 cars ahead, you see them hitting your brakes, you can go ahead and hit them. Not wait till the jackass that's on his phone right in front of you brakes too late. So I really like that part of it. You're not scared of clowns, you just dislike them. You love the It movies. I haven't seen any. I wish motor companies would go back to making small and mid-sized trucks. I guess nobody makes small trucks. I had a friend of mine who had one of those Isuzu Pups. You know which ones I'm talking about. Like in the late 80s, early 90s. It was dark blue, it was like navy blue. And it was a stick shift. And it was like the most basic vehicle you had. Back when pickup trucks, like, okay, I can buy the equivalent car and it costs, I don't know, $13,000. The truck would cost like $9 or $10. So the truck would cost less. Of course, it had no space behind the headrest. So literally, if you had like whiplash, you'd probably spiderweb the back windshield. There was no. You might have been able to put like a pizza box down there, without a pizza in it behind the seat. But that was it. It sat 2 or 3 if they were really small people. They don't make cars. They don't make trucks like that anymore. The old S10s, they don't make trucks like that anymore. I don't see myself as a truck person. There's nothing I can see myself that I need to put in the bed of a truck, to have a truck. They're too expensive. I honestly don't like the way most of them look. I said most. There's some that, and somebody that had one that brought it work, it actually looked really nice. I think it was a Colorado. I think it was the Colorado that was, it was white and it was all like, you know, and it looked good. But those kind of vehicles handle like trash. And I'm all about the handling. That's something fun you can have every day. For now. Okay, so now we painted the wheel black and we added some details. These vehicles are full of details. You just have to paint them. You have to paint it so these details come out. But, I mean, they got decent details on them. You miss your old S10. Yeah, S10s look pretty good. Remember the old Blazers that were based on like the S10s? Those are actually pretty decent looking vehicles. And they were small SUVs by today's standards. The SUVs have changed a lot. I feel like that you can hardly tell the difference between a freaking like a Murano and a Pathfinder. They're like the same damn vehicle now. I would love to have a traditional Jeep, like a Wrangler. It's expensive. You spend a lot. You got to pay a lot of money for that cool suspension that I personally wouldn't use. You know, I'm not gonna like take it over like some rocks and stuff. There's no rocks here. You know, I don't have a lifestyle that needs that kind of stuff. I just think they freaking look cool. I don't know that I want to be in one in an accident. You know, and when I mean Jeep, I mean, a Wrangler. You always wanted a Blazer, K5 specifically. You prefer a truck because I always do favors and side gigs for people. I'm always in a situation I need something to pull a trailer, need a truck bed to put stuff in. They're big, comfy, and had a reliable gas-guzzling brew of an engine. So, I had a really interesting discovery that, maybe it's not a discovery for you, but it's a discovery for me. And I happened to look up the other day, and I think it's because we were talking about it. At what point, because at some point, the American domestic vehicles were the most reliable vehicles around, and the foreign vehicles just weren't. And then at some point it switched. So I started doing a little bit of digging, and basically what I came across, at least in this article, that said it was like, if you're going to buy something like a Ford, their V8 is a really good engine. But if you buy something else that's not that's a Ford and doesn't have the V8 engine, mileage may vary on what you get. So saying basically like a V8 engine on a Ford could last, hundreds of thousands of miles. You're not going to have a problem. I mean, obviously with proper maintenance, right? But you start getting something that's like, a turbocharged 4 or a 6 or something like that, they're not like, it's not going to be the same type of reliability. Because at one time, in the 60s, in World War II, like American vehicles are like infinitely more reliable than anybody else's vehicles. I mean, it's not even close. At some point, it's almost like, people don't care. Like, oh, people are going to keep their vehicle for 3 years, so let's just make it like, just to be done with it. But I thought that was interesting. But man, a V8 guzzles a lot of, a V8 is, you need a big vehicle for a V8 to be on. I can't think of any vehicle that has a V8 that I could see myself driving. It just uses up too much fuel. It's too big, A K5 Blazer. What's that? Look, oh, I can't look. I can't look it up. I can't look it up. We're filming with a phone. I always wanted one of those Forerunners. I always wanted a Forerunner, but they're too expensive. It's like a $65,000 vehicle. I'm like, I don't want to spend that kind of money. It's just that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. All right, so this is we've done the black lining here. Let's go ahead and add the metallic on the ladder. Okay, you got to be able to climb up there. So we're going to use the darkest one we have. We're going to start that with the base Iron Warriors. We're also going to use that metallic color here on the front of the bump, on the bottom of the bumper here, the bottom of the bumper on the back, and the part that's here close to the ground. Okay. And we need to use a bigger brush than this, or we're not going to be done this month. It's just going to take too long. It's just not worth it. All right, and we're just going to let's start with a ladder. Just hitting the tops of it. Overbrush nicely. Still left some black in there. That's why I base it black first. So you have that contrast in between, you know, the color of the vehicle so it can pop. You need to be able to see it some distance away. Ford and GM will be in stiff competition to have the best, most powerful engines in their muscle cars and trucks. What about Dodge? How does that fit in there? Well, now, or whatever the hell it is, Stellantis or whatever. How do those Mopar vehicles look? I wish more vehicles had gone, not that I'd be in the market for any of them, but I wish more vehicles had gone into that whole retro thing. Like, for instance, the Challenger, which is funny because it looks like the old Charger. The Challenger, I think, is a great looking vehicle. On the outside, I don't know. I really haven't spent any time on the inside of one. But on the outside, aesthetically, I think it's a good-looking vehicle. I think it's retro done right. You know, I mean, if they did like a modern, like Chevelle or something like that, man, I could definitely see people getting into that. But what's happened since COVID is, you know, you can't afford cars that were, you know, affordable. You know, $29,000 cars just aren't affordable anymore. You know, I hope my car lasts me a long time because they're expensive. Interest rates and everything else, they're expensive. All right, I don't think I'm going to paint the wheels. I think we're just going to say this thing's got black wheels, and of course when we weather it, they won't be. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave them alone. We do need to do the mortar tube, though. But I think a lot of, you know, it's difficult to say how reliable some of these vehicles are. I'm pretty sure you might have a better idea than most people do, Tri-Tart, but I have a feeling that a lot of people don't do proper maintenance on their vehicles. Like, mine's do, I do oil changes at 6,000. That's when you're supposed to do it. Mine had like 300 miles to go. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it for a couple of weeks. I just went and did it today. You know, I just did it today. And they said, oh, yeah, by the way, you've got a small oil leak. It's really, really small. Don't worry about it. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Then next oil change I do, I'm just going to drop it off here. You guys can, I got an extended warranty on it. And we can look at it. You can't just, like, not take care of things, you know. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got some interesting stuff here. Ford GM, okay. Ford for a while took a dive in their engine quality in the 70s. In the 80s, when motor companies at the time were smacked with heavy regulations to curb emissions and better fuel economy. Dodge was always mediocre with trucks. Muscle cars were very depending on the era. Mopar was the standard everyone else measured up to until the 2000s, then took quite a dive. Other YouTuber guy, where am I from? Florida. Some will argue Mopar is still top tier. I will have to disagree with those people having worked on them. My father got the same glass you have. How? I don't know which glass we're talking about. As much as I give Ford shit for the quality and they look, they'd have some solid engines back in their heyday. Yeah. I heard someone once tell me that the biggest problem with Ford is their logo. I think they need to update their logo. Their logo's pretty fucking lame. You know? I mean, I've said this before. I think that the best vehicles in the world should be American vehicles. And they're just... It's a QC issue. It's a QC issue. You know? You need to have freaking good quality control. You know, like, be prideful of stuff. I think a lot of vehicles have too much electrical stuff that's too complicated. And it just fails. There's just too much shit going on. Oh, my spectacle. These? Yeah, I gotta wear readers, unfortunately, or pull my contacts out, and I got +6 vision, you know. But yeah, these are strong as they go. 375. I got the thing you can wear on your head. Wow, that's dizzying. That's like, you know, you put that on, it's like you've had 7 shots of vodka. It's like, whoa, you know. All right, I'm gonna go get some more tea. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like old school 70s cars. Like, I don't think I'd ever have one because they handle like crap. But man, a lot of them look really good. I mean, like attractive looking. Like this thing is, and that's why I'm like, I'm not going to repaint this thing. This thing is beautiful. This Chevelle is a really nice paint scheme. Now, it's a little dulled because it's got a flat coat on it, and it's got a dark wash on it. It's got like a brown wash on it, but this thing's beautiful. I mean, it's badass looking, you know? It's badass looking. This is a make-believe car. I think it's based almost like on a Camaro or something like that. It's got some make-believe. It's got like some NOS tanks or something. It's got to have like a flamethrower or something like that in the rear. But this is some make-believe car. I think what did they decide to? What did these Chinese Maisto people decide to call this? Roadkill. 71 Roadkill GT. And maybe there's a 71 Camaro. That's what it looks like. But you know, here's a classic Camaro looking car. This one, Marty gave it to me, and it's all dinged up from the. We'll fix all that up, and it'll look. I don't mind it looking damaged, but we need it to look my own damage, not however you freaking get it damaged. Tea? You drinking tea? I'm drinking Crystal Light. You know, Early 70s was last of the good-looking cars. Then you started getting ugly with safety bumpers and early ergonomics. Well, the one thing is cars now are infinitely safer than they've ever been. So that's good. But they got a lot of electronic shit that just makes them like freak out. You get a mid-80s, you get cars with hard edges, cassette futuristic, like the DeLorean. Yeah, there's... I think all cars from the 1950s are really unattractive. Yeah, I think a 57 Chevy is an extremely unattractive vehicle. Just my personal... And I say that one because that's the one that really stands out. There's probably cars from the 50s I don't mind. And I'm talking about American cars. That I probably wouldn't mind, but they don't come to mind what they are. I detest anything that is grocery gettery or station wagony. Like I've got bad childhood experiences from going to school in a station wagon. I'm not driving anything that looks like a station wagon. My preference is two-door cars. They look a lot faster. Whether or not they are, they look a lot faster. Heresy, you like a 57 Chevy? I think they're ugly as crap. Sorry. They do, like those New York cabs. Man, you look at one of those, I can already hear the asshole behind the wheel. Those hot rods from the 30s and stuff, those are ugly as crap. That doesn't mean I'm not going to build them. Yeah, you know, a lot of these guys make really good Gasland looking cars. I got one of these guys, this guy that I pulled out this morning. Who's jumping ship here? This thing is good. This ugly ass thing. Of course, this is supposed to be like a Fiat or whatever. But this looks like one of those hot rods from the 30s or whatever. Yeah, this is like a perfect Gaslands car. You know, you got to tone down the chrome, man. Like, easy on this. It's a Fiat. Hey, easy on the chrome there, Tony. Fix it again, Tony. Fiat. It's funny, talking about Italian stuff. Supposedly in the desert in World War II, the Italian trucks were actually pretty reliable. Well, I think the desert was hell on all of them, but you know, they weren't a piece of crap, you know. Lighter vehicles, I got until Dakota had manual windows and manual trans. You know, I don't have a problem with manual windows. I don't have a problem with it. You know, I have a problem with no air conditioning or, you know, I want Bluetooth. I'll take manual windows, but. All right. So, we're at the weathering phase. So, in the weathering phase, we're going to get the triad of chocolate brown, U.S. field drab, and Iraqi sand. And this is straight from Flames of War. I got the idea from, it was one of the triads that Flames of War suggested for some of their basing. And it's what I use for most of my basing and most of my temperate tanks. Temperate tank color basing. You prefer a CD player? I've had the last 4 vehicles I've had a CD player and I haven't used it once. I haven't put a CD in a car since probably 2008. I've gotten rid of my CDs, but I haven't put one in since 2008. So, yeah, I'm part of the problem. But I don't want, what is the thing that I don't want? I don't want automatic headlights. I don't want the whole crash thing. Like, you look, the car thinks you're going to have a crash and slams on the brakes and, you know, and you think the car broke. I mean, it just, that's just like really like throws you off when like stuff like that kicks off. I detest automatic driving lights. The only thing automatic with lights at school is automatic brights. And so in other words, when you turn your lights on, they're automatically in high bright mode. and if a car's coming, it'll dull them. So if you're in an area where cars are constantly coming, like you don't have to sit there and hit it yourself. It like automatically. That's handy. That's handy. Hell, I still got old CDCs, kept my son buyers and a Dakota CD player, Jack MP3. It's about as sophisticated as I want. I got hundreds of CDs, not counting the dozens of mixed albums I made with Windows Media Player. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, music's just not that important to me anymore. I'm not 19, 20, I'm not 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 anymore. Besides, the kind of music I like to listen to, probably drive too fast anyway, so. All right, so this thing has been through the mud, the muck. This is the biggest difference you'll see is when we're done with this, and then when we do what I call the drippings, and then it'll look the part, hopefully. Well, every other vehicle I've done this with, and I've done pink vehicles, looks the part after we're done with this. Okay, so you don't want to go too heavy because you need to put 2 other colors on there, and if you go hog wild with, well, there's other vehicles that we might want to go crazy with, but not this one. We still want to make sure this thing looks pink at the end of the day. You don't want to look like, I don't want everything to look like it just came out of the mud bog. This is 90s grunge in 38. I like the stuff before grunge. But it's just not that important anymore. "38, you punk ass. Young punk. You're younger than my brother." That's why I tell my daughter all the time, "You punk ass generation." Of course, she's a lot younger than 38, but I hope. All right, we'll make room for this. Yeah, see, I thought I was going to get an airbrush. I'm like, yeah, I can do all my weathering with airbrushing. I don't have those kind of skills. I don't have this kind of control. I feel like anything I do with a hand brush, anything I do with a regular brush, I've got control, man. I've got decades of I know when to say when, Some uppity airbrush getting all. The biggest problem with the airbrush right now is I wish that the pole on it was a lot longer. In other words, you get from you don't get any paint coming out to too much, and it only moves like a half of a millimeter. It's like, and I'm not bad at it, but I'm a lot better at it. I'm a lot better with a paintbrush. I'm a lot better with a paintbrush. So the tanks really helped. The tanks really helped with the weathering. And I got ideas from some. I watched a couple videos before I made the shift from doing ancient figures to doing tanks. I hadn't done a tank. I hadn't done a tank vehicle. I hadn't done a tank in 1/72 ever. I'd done micro armor and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, let's watch some videos of what people do. And there was this one guy that came across that said, yeah, I uses Agrax Earthshade and wash it. I'm like, that's cool. Make it look so it's not all showroomy. So there's some variations in the tone. And I'm about to leave to take the missus out to eat. Will you be doing another solo game of Gaslands? I'm probably not going to do another solo games of Gaslands. I'm probably going to do a game with people of Gaslands. My concern is that is moving the camera around. Gaslands, unlike DBA, is all over the place. DVA, you can pretty much film one place and you can capture anything. This one's going to, so it might take some practice, but the games are definitely worth filming. They provide a really interesting, chaotic narrative, and you never know what's going to happen. So from that standpoint, I think that they're worth watching. It just need to find a way to do it. Lately, my workload has just been absurd, exhausting, and but yeah, in the future, that's probably you could expect to see that. It's a great game. It's a great game, and if something comes out in the game that doesn't seem great, well, we can fucking change it. So it is great, you know. It's not like I have to run it a certain way to be in a tournament or something. So we're just going to go over this lightly, and this is dry mud, dust. You call it whatever the hell you want. It's a mixture of different things it could be. And I'm doing this on all the vehicles. It doesn't matter whether it's a vehicle that's driving through the concrete jungle or one that's, you know, off-roading it. Well, the Bubba trucks is definitely going to have more weathering on them than others. But, you know, we still have Barbie on there. But it's just more subtle. And we still have drippings to do on top of this. Now, we don't want a whole lot of paint on here, but we do want to hit these edges here. Okay, so I don't know how familiar you are if you live somewhere where there's lime rock roads or anything like that. You drive through anything like that, it'll catch on every single corner. It just seems like. So this will help make all those details stand out. And it just looks more believable. So compare, say, this side that doesn't have any of that overbrushing on it, and we're going to flip it over to this side that does. And it makes all those little details pop more. So, all right, man. Thanks for coming by as always. Maybe we'll have some we got to have some lowrider Mexican vehicles here soon. You get, but I got this theme. I don't really care what the Gasland theme is. I've got my own thing going on. You know, I've got my teams. I've got my, you know, my urban gangsters, and I got rednecks and all girls team. People in between, they're free agents. I want Mexican lowriders. You know. I don't care about this whole reality thing, Mars, and all that bullshit, you know. The rules are solid, and I think that the skeleton or the basing, the base of the rules is pretty solid. You could pretty much make whatever it is that you wanted to make, you know. This looks freaking stellar. This looks really good. I'm really happy with how this looks. But, you know, it's not my first one of these. You know, I've done about 30, and even the first one turned out really well. And again, it's just putting in the practice that I have doing tanks, doing this stuff. And of course we have to seal it, so you don't make sure, you know, handling this stuff would come off on the corners and things like that. You don't want to do all this work and then it come off. Let's see if I can glue this down and it'll hold enough. And I only do this lightest Iraqi sand on the top. Figure this is like dust that got kicked up or whatever. I don't want any dust. I don't want any of this light color in any of the crannies. Right? I just want it on the highlighting on the other parts. You start putting dust in the nooks and crannies, and it doesn't look right to my eye. It's realistic, but it still just doesn't look right. So I'm going to go ahead and temporarily attach this here. what it's going to be. That's where the little mortar is. And take a look at it and see if something doesn't need, if there's nothing else that needs a little bit more. All right, we'll rinse that off, and then we'll get to the dripping phase, which is another one of my favorite parts, which is the final. Well, the final phase is really sealing it, but let's see if I can. You know, if I repaint this, all those graphics that they decided to put on there won't be on there. I would have to create my own, which won't be to the detail level that this has. Plus, I'd have to strip it and everything. I'm like, let's just go with the details that are already on the actual vehicle. See, this one, for whatever reason, already has headlamps that are, we'll call them decals, but they're already printed on the vehicle. Might as well just leave them on there. It's a pretty cool looking vehicle. You know? Pretty cool looking vehicle, and it's pretty amazing it has as much detail as it does for a freaking $1. You know, $1.14, $1.24, whatever the hell it is. All right, time for Tony's Tones. Let's take one of these and flip it upside down. And let's get the three sisters out here, which is mid-brown, soft tone, and light tone. 2 tones and a brown. That's just what they're called. And unfortunately, and now they've turned everything into war paints. So this is no longer, it's the same company, but they don't use this logo anymore. They use this logo now, this here. And I put this paint. It's not called the same thing. And I'm like, online, I'm in the store, I'm not getting a good signal, trying to figure it out, make heads or tails out of it. I'm going to have to do that in advance. I didn't buy them. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not out of them yet. So the important ones is really strong tone and the dark tone. Those are the ones that I go through more. This, you don't use very much of these at all. So, but they mix incredibly well with water. They thin really well with water. All right, let's get one that's maybe this one. I like the liners. You carry a lot more paint on it, so you don't have to dip it as often. Let's create a mix here of all three. I like doing a color that's not obvious which one of the three you did. And we're just going to make some of these rivets have a rusting problem. Now, if you do this before you do the dusting, then all the dusting will just make all that disappear. So that's why I do this as the final step before the sealing. And they flow great. I'm really impressed with this product. You know, they make other stuff, but there's no point in reinventing a wheel. Like, I already like this product. I don't need to go and try something different unless they stop manufacturing this. Now, there's a hinge there. Where there's a hinge, there's an opportunity for it to get some serious rust. You know, we're just adding little drippings like this. I really enjoy doing this part. It's, you don't want to make it look like a rust bucket. We just want to make it look like, you know, if this is an apocalyptic environment, there's probably like acid rain. there's probably not a whole lot of environmental controls. Let's see what's rusted on the front of this thing. All right, now we'll work our way over to the top. I see all these hinges up here, so all that lattice. This is also, all these things you can notice them 2 or 3 feet away. All these vehicles have really good detail on them. I mean, for a kid's toy, they really do. It's just a matter of making people be able to see all these details from, 2 or 3 feet away. Now, one day it decided to rain here, and there was this accumulated water. And you got a little bit of a drip there off of that. And the same thing on this side. There's water that accumulated here, and for some reason, It decided to drip down. I think this thing's ready to go. I mean, other than, you know, being sealed. I'm pretty happy with that. The Bimbo bomber. Of course, it's going to get sealed. It's going to look even better sealed. It keeps some parts being shinier than something else. It just makes everything look evenly placed. $35-point vehicle, Bimbo bomber. All right, so what's up next? Well, what's up next? Other than sealing that, well, I don't feel like stopping. I feel like keeping going. Some of you guys are on here. I don't want to leave you hanging, and I really want to do this old Camaro, but it's gonna. I think it's gonna have a ram on it. And I don't have any Rams left. So I think we're gonna do the Chevelle. Let's do the Chevelle next. It's already got. I need to get the inside of it. Let me get the box here that has the insides. Let's build this thing. Well, the Camaro is the Blue Bruiser. So we also need to come up with a name for that thing. Okay, we don't have that many interiors left. So let's go either that one or that one. Oh, and of course we need the glass for it. That may be the glass for that. Or this one. It's one of those two. There's not that many left. Okay, insides. I think it's going to be this one. Let's see if I'm right. Yes. Okay. So we put this one back. All right. Which one of these two glasses? I think it's this one. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Put that one back. Normally I would put them in one little spot, all the pieces are for it, but I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough spaces. Let's get rid of this book. I don't want my book getting trashed. All right. Oh crap! I can't use my phone for that. Well, we can name it later. All right. So we've got this Chevelle. I think it's a Chevelle, not a Nova. What's it say on the bottom? Doesn't say. I think it's a Chevelle. The Nova has the grill that's split. The grill on it is split. Like it's got like a middle part of metal, not grill. All right, let's take some of these plastic burrs off. And now what's going to happen with this vehicle is we're getting to the point where we've got a lot of vehicles that are starting to look kind of similar, like what they're equipped with. This is going to be a car, not a performance car. I like to save the performance car category for stuff like 911s and Ferraris and if I had a Viper, I saw a Viper in a store, I didn't pick it up. I got enough cars. A Viper would be an American performance car, maybe even a Corvette, that type of stuff. A Chevelle, it's just going to be cars, kind of an all-encompassing category. for that. I don't want it too similar to Mr. Green Screen, although it's a Mr. Green Screen type of car. Mr. Green Screen is a car, and it has extra crew member, right, and nitro, and of course it has an exposed engine, so that's easier to justify having that nitro pickup. I wish I could put rockets on it, but the problem with rockets is it takes up both spots, and that's all you have then. All you got stuck is with rockets. It's like I need to put rockets on a truck, so at least you got like one spot for a machine gun. You put rockets on like a regular car, that's all you have. And rockets are limited by ammunition. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. The Camaro is going to have the double AKs forward, so I don't want to do that with this thing. One of the vehicles, I don't remember which one, has this double on the roof, so we don't want to use that. We haven't used one of these yet. Let's take a look at some cars. Let's take a look at some of the cars that I have that are similar to this one. We want them to all be slightly different from each other. So you have to play them slightly different. I'm going to pull some cars out here that are similar style. They're already built, so we don't make the mistake of making two that are too similar to each other. High Roller just has a heavy machine gun to the front. It is a car also. I guess I'll leave it here. Flower of Ibuki, that's a performance car, right? It's performance? Yeah, it is. Okay, Haas and Pfeffer, nope. Blasta Blasta, nope. Yellow Bastard is definitely one of them that would be in a similar type category. I'll leave Bully Goat here, even though Bully Goat has a ram. Poppycock, Pimp Python. This is performance. Arschgeiger. Methcalade, Mud Puppy, Leadfoot, Hippie-Ki-Yay, Flaming Tosser, Sunburner, Goldilocks is a performance, doesn't, okay, and these two. All right, so let's see what we got. These are all cars that we've already built. Let's move this out of the way. We don't want to get anything on here. Okay, so it's got a heavy machine gun to the front, machine gun to the rear, and then these are all 27 points, which is what this will be. This will also be a 27-point car. Okay, Mr. Green Screen, heavy machine gun to the front, machine gun to the rear, nitro booster. That's pretty much what it has. Extra crew member. Okay, we're not going to have an extra crew member on it. Jerry's Skids, well, it has a ram. It's a little bit different. Minigun to the front. No. Let's move that one. It's not going to be like that. Leadfoot, minigun to the... No, I'm not going to use a minigun on this one. It's not going to have a minigun. Arschgeiger, 2 miniguns. Nope, not going to have a minigun. Not that there's anything wrong with it, just making it a little bit different. This is heavy machine gun in the front. Pimp Python, ram, helpful, leather skill. I'm not going to give this car a skill. I need a couple cars that don't have perks, I should say. I need some cars that don't have perks, and lately I've been having a lot of perks. So this has a helpful leather perk, which is super awesome. It can always play that long straight in anything it has. You'd think it would have won a race by now, but it is not. Feel no pain. This one, Poppycock, is extremely lightly armed. It's got extra armor, and but only has a regular machine gun to the front. That's it. It doesn't have a heavy machine gun. It's just a regular machine gun. Bully Goat, heavy machine gun to the front, pistol, ram on the front. It has an extra crew member. Okay. This is not going to have an extra crew member. Yellow Bastard has a heavy machine gun in the turret. An oil slick dropper, ram. So, don't think I'm going to put this one in the turret. Where's green screen? Green screen has a HMG to the front and a regular machine gun to the rear and a nitro booster. The nitro booster is 6 points and an extra crew member. So if I did HMG to the front, HMG to the rear, okay? Let's see. Where's my writing implement? This is the Bimbo bomber. Okay, we'll just call this the Chevelle for now. It's going to be 15 points. It's got 2 slots in it. The first slot's going to be an HMG. The second one, if it's an HMG, that is 3 points for that. That's 6. So that's 21 points. That still leaves lots of other stuff on there. But no slots. No slots. That's what 21 HMG is 3, right? HMG machine gun is 3 points. Yep. Yeah, if you do an HMG to the front, HMG to the rear, it's gonna look weird. What if I did 2 HMGs to the front? Do I have a second one like that? I bet I do. Because I haven't used one. Oh my God. This guy is fucking brilliant. Okay? This Switchyard Studios guy is so freaking brilliant. And this happened with the M60s. The M60s, he had one that you can put one on either side because they feed the opposite from each other. They're mirror images of each other. He did the same thing with this cannon. With these guns, where they can be side by side. Now, Silver Outlaw, and I don't have a card for him because it came out recently. Let's see if I got a card for Silver Outlaw. I forgot that I've got a couple cars built that aren't on here. Silver Outlaw has 2 HMGs, smoke, and a shotgun and a grenade, and it has a Road Warrior skill. Okay, well, this one's not going to have a skill. So, maybe I should put a minigun on it. Putting it on the rear is just going to be. It looks stupid. That looks stupid. We want the bullets to spray towards the outside. So if you were going to do it, then it would have to be something like this. But then it looks like Silver Outlaw. So what if we did something like? It's going to mess up the striping on it. Damn it, man. It's a really good looking car. Well, I like the way it looks. What's up, Ben? How's it going? What you doing? Wow. Damn. As much as I like this turret, I don't think I want it on there. It looks too much like the Yellow Bastard. I want them to look different from each other. What vehicle did I just do that had the... Oh, the... yeah, that old 49 Mercury. Well, if I did that on the roof, I still have a ton of points left. I'd have to give them like a submachine gun or something like that. If I did a submachine, so this submachine was like 5 points or something. Submachine gun is 5 points. SMG's 5. So now we're at 26. Now we just need one more. One more could be grenades or something like that. I think that's what we'll do. We'll do 2 heavy machine guns and a submachine gun on here. Now it's 2 crew members, so if you're firing forward, you can only fire the 2 guns. Submachine gun doesn't do any good. But if they're not in the front arc, you know, you can have one guy fire a pistol, one guy a submachine gun on there. I think that's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to have them have the magazines towards the outside, even though that means all the bullets would accumulate in the middle. Looking like this, looks like it's got like, it looks weird. Now, I could stagger them. I don't like that. I think having them out like this would probably be all right. Yeah. I think that's what we're gonna do. You're back. So funny thing about this hobby, it was nice and warm outside. I don't like doing this hobby, but it's cold as hell. I love doing this hobby. What's your take on this hobby and the weather? I don't want to be outside when it's hot. I don't mind being outside when it's hot, but just sitting around sweating. You know, your hot's different than our hot. Our hot is like bug infested. Well, I'm sure you have a mosquito problem. You probably have like really bad mosquito problems. When it's cold outside, remember when it's my cold, I want to be outside. I'm the opposite. I want to be in here when it's hot. Like we're getting into like the good weather. Like if it's like 40 degrees outside, I want to be outside, man. I want to go for a walk and oh shit, am I going to go for a walk today or we're going to skip it? I guess we'll skip it. Fuck it, I'm doing this for a good cause. Cars Uberalis. Let's trim some of this extra stuff here off. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these wheels shut. Now, the one weapon type I have not used much of is flamethrowers. And I just don't think they're going to be very useful. And, you know, this car doesn't look like it's got a flamethrower on it. Sorry, you need to paint it a different color. Need to paint a different color. What do we got up here? No, okay, cool. All right. So we're going to take a little bit of this, the super glue. Cold all the time in Scotland. The problem with Scotland would be, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it gloomy all the time? Like, I can't do gloomy. I'm spoiled living in Florida. It's rarely gloomy here. I bet I would love the weather in Scotland. But I don't know if it's about being gray. Because I like cold and wet. It's good for you. It's good when you breathe it in. You're like, when you breathe in like dry air, nah, it kills me. But moist air, yeah, it's like having a humidifier on you. All right, this is what this guy's going to have. Let's put this in the parts box. Oh shit, I thought I was going to do a ramp. Oh well, fuck it, we're doing a Chevelle. $34 degrees tonight, that's awesome. That's awesome. We do have a mosquito problem in the summer, that's why we get those big bug zappers, watch them explode while drinking a beer. Yeah. Only thing I wouldn't do in Scotland, I ain't wearing one of them skirts. Hey, that's not my heritage. It's not my problem. I don't have to wear it. It's not a skirt. It's a kilt. Whatever. I'm still not wearing one of those either. Not my problem. All right, this car is just absolutely beautiful. We're gonna use these windows. These windows are just fine. I actually like that they frost up a little bit when you put the flat on them. So we need to find two of these little things here. Put a little bit of stickum on each. And put these two MGs that we're gonna prime. However, yeah, this guy's, I wrote him, I said, man, I was really surprised with those M60s that you gave me two of them and they're mirror images of each other. Now that would probably bug somebody that wanted to use them for real M60s. Like, man, you made one fucking backwards. But for me, you put a pair of them on there and they're mirror images of each other. So you can have a vehicle and it could spit the bullet casings off the vehicle. Like, that makes sense. You're almost done painting that King Cobra on a rock. Foggy be, I can't do gloomy. It just puts me down. I'm not used to it. The problem with foggy also is you get this thing I call all the same time of day all day long. You know, is it 9 o'clock in the morning or is it 1 o'clock in the afternoon? It all looks the same. It's a little disorienting. All right, let's go ahead and prime these things before we go any further because that's going to involve some drying time. Scotland has awesome whiskey's what it has. Which I'd much rather have whiskey than beer. My body likes it a lot better, too. Alright. Not that I have any of those with any frequency. Just going to take our black here and paint over this thing. Now this is these guns are kind of out of scale. They're almost like the scale of like a Space Marine in 28 millimeter. But it's a fantasy game. They're supposedly made for this scale. It's the designer's fault if he made them too damn big. Go write him a nastygram. But the casting quality on these is really good. I think it's some kind of resin or something. It's not FDM or whatever. It doesn't have. You can't see the little lines on there. I got this one 3D. The first guy I ever ordered 3D stuff from. His 3D vehicles are made out of really strong as hell material. But it's so strong I can't even sand down the lines it has on them. But he's really affordable. But sometimes the lines bug me. Sometimes you can't unsee them. Everybody's getting their snowmobiles ready. I'm surprised there aren't thousands of people that die on those things a year. I've been on one 2 or 3 times, and man, it takes every bit of you got to be paying attention so you don't get hurt. I'm just talking about, not even doing crazy shit. I'm just, wish they weren't so loud. And you go somewhere beautiful with like snow and trees and everything, and here you go, like, geez, man, like, chill out. Chillax. What do snowmobiles go for? $5,000 or something like that? Probably more than that. I know, depends which one you get. I mean, like a decent one. Oh, this one, I mean, this car, you can just roll right into the black line. To be perfectly honest. While that dries. The old dark tone. But the secret is you need to use a flat coat so this stuff will grab. Otherwise, it'll just slide off. It won't hold in place. You want top of holy smokes! Yeah, that's big money, man. So like a cheap boat. I couldn't believe that a boat cost more than my car. I mean, obviously there's cars there's boats that cost less, but this is a relatively easy one. There's not a whole lot of things that are indented, so to speak. Now, the front of this, we're going to do all this bumper, all this metallic. So I'm going to go in with the darkest metallic I have. which of course is Iron Warriors. Yeah. There's always fumbles. Now, what was the brush we were using to dry brush with that I was really happy with? I believe it was this one. Now, this one we're actually going to paint. We are going to paint the wheels on it. And you can slop it over the tires. The tires are going to be covered over that in no time. Some of these vehicles are just like ridiculous colored, vehicle that has like white tires on it or something like that. I mean, unless you're doing like, some girl's bike, you're not going to have like white tires on anything. I don't know exactly what you do to rubber to make it look white, but we got a way of doing that. All right, let's take a look at this guy. Okay, cool. That's a good looking car, and especially for this type of a game. Beer garden, street tables, not recommended this time of year though. Probably too cold. Hellcat 1404cc snowmobile. That would be like sports car version. Okay, I'll be right back in 1 second, folks. All right. Jaguar snowmobile to watch him come back with a mug of beer. No. Alcohol is not motivating, man. I'd do a line of coke before I have any beer when I can drink this. I fall asleep. I used to have a friend of mine who'd come over on Wednesdays when I lived alone at the condo. I had a room that was just a painting room, and he would come over on every Wednesday, and he would leave his stuff set up. And that's back when I wasn't as productive, meaning I was a slow painter. I still am a slow painter. You know, I just want to be happy when I'm done with whatever it is that I'm doing. So, but I tend to be a slow painter. But he would come over and he would leave all his things there and his paints, and sometimes we'd have a beer, and sometimes we'd have a second beer. And if we had a second beer, like, no painting would happen. Like, it didn't matter. Like, I'm having 2 beers, I don't give a shit. You know. Go for it. Welcome. Welcome, Hungary. See, I remembered. Man, there's not much to this car. There really is not much to this car. I mean, it's like, it's beautiful. I mean, you don't have to really do anything to it. You know, I don't want to ruin it. I mean, obviously it's going to be weathered. I can't put guns on it yet. The guns are still wet. The guns aren't going to have any of the weathering on it. We've got some. We got a bumper to do. We've got some headlamps. We've got some tail lamps also. Crap! I can't look at what year Chevelle is this? Like a 72 or something like that. Let's see. Let's see if I can use the internet to. I normally would use my phone. Let me not use the phone. We got. Oh, we need other glasses. 1972. Actually, let's not do that. Let's find out exactly what the hell this thing is. So the way I can do that is I look at the code underneath here, and I'm going to look at Hot Wheels. I'm going to do Hot Wheels. God, this chair just needs an ass whooping. Hot Wheels. Let's see what code this is. B3532. B3532. Let's see if that takes us where we need to go. B53532. Okay, here it is. It's a 68 Nova. Okay, so it's a Nova. All right, so we want to look at. Oh, they make this in green too, and it looks good also. Okay, I think a Nova is just a poor man's Chevelle. It's an underpowered Chevelle. Okay, so we're going to look at a 68. Okay, 19. Oh, we got to put the other glasses on now. 1968 Nova rear. Okay, so the little light inside is white. The ones on the outside are red. Got it. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Let's go back to the other screen. Nova. Uh-oh, did I lose my video? No, I didn't. There it is. Okay. So, I don't think I need to leave this thing unglued together. Let's fire up the hot glue gun again. Let's glue this bitch down. Whee! A little while for it to get fired up. So close this thing back up. A Nova. Yeah, I think it's what it is. Nova is just a less powerful version of a Chevelle. Still looks badass. Got similar front. I'm not going to paint the interior. It's already black. I primed it black. It's actually chrome originally. I primed it black. I'm not going to paint anything on it. Now, there are some window struts. I'll probably paint those in blue. I'll try to color match the blue. So that makes sense. They wouldn't be clear. Bring this around this way. Yeah, it's just a little Gorilla Glue gun. Got it on Amazon. I should have had it 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, but I've had it 2 years and I've used the hell out of it. Came with so many of these glue sticks, I'm like, I'm never going to need a refill. Well, I'm using it a lot. I may actually need refilled glue sticks. Not anytime soon, but a good looking car. More there's any car out there that somebody would not like. They'd like, there's no way I would do such and such a car because they hate it, you know? Well, I'm not the one driving it. It's just some rando driving it. You know, this isn't me. I bear no resemblance to the person behind the wheel. I had to do something today that was a ton of work, and what that was, I ended up going to the store and I ended up picking a replacement, a steering wheel cover for my steering wheel. It's kind of, you know, it gets ate up by the sun. It's 5 years old, so I got one. One of the hardest things is putting those things on, man. It takes like every little bit of energy you have. You got to be methodical how you put it on. But man, it's got to be a tight fit. Otherwise, it'd be all over the place. It'd be a hazard for sure. Okay. We're in business. All right. Now, let's go ahead and paint the headlamps. Headlamps and tail lamps. And maybe by the time I'm done with that, these things will be dry enough that we can dry brush them. And then we'll get 2 cars done in one session. Pretty awesome. It doesn't take long. You know, it doesn't take long. Once you've made the decision of how you're going to build it, it really doesn't take long. Especially since all these have already been taken apart. They already have a brown wash on them. Yeah, there's drippings on this that look great. Apocalyptic Barbie. But I'm glad that I found a way to keep the original paint jobs on them, and it was mainly for the clowns. The cars that I have that are the clown cars, they have a lot of clown-like graphics on them, and it's like to repaint that stuff would just be a shame, because then it would just be like regular cars. It wouldn't necessarily be clown cars. All right, let's get our friends out here. We're gonna need a little bit of black. A little bit of white. Make sure we don't get any black on us, because We'll transfer it to something else. Same thing with the white. And a little bit of red. Let's go ahead and do the tail ones first. So we're going to come in with this thin brush here. We got some liquid here. Thin it down. Take the red, add black to it till it's dark. Okay, just a little smattering of red. Don't even know if you could see it there. Let's bring it up a little bit. And then once again, and add a tiny little bit of white. Oh, why don't you use yellow? Because it's a tiny little bit. Now we're going to come inside of that and do the white lights. Let's grab some white. That's primer. A little bit of white, a little bit of black. A little bit more black. Paint a little bit there, and then we're going to go to the front. And let's go a little bit darker than that. And paint the entire headlamp in this color. Yeah, we actually need to go darker than that. Darker than that. Come on. You can do it. Okay, so we got these dark gray headlamps. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of white, and we're going to do like a little semicircle. Semicircle on the bottom. Like a crescent. Yep, these are the super readers. And then we're going to lighten up a little bit more. This like works every fucking time. Once I figured out what works for me, and I watched other people do it, and like the result, same thing. Let's just the bottom of the crescent. Bring it up a little bit. Again, bring it up. Like a light gray. Paint that crescent. I'm going to go ahead and do the back ones up to this point also. These is tiny little marker, reverse marker light type thing. Okay, and then we're going to rinse this out and get a dot of pure white, and we're going to put it, like if the crescent is like this on the bottom of the light, we're going to put the dot up here. That's that little gleam of light. That's superb. I mean, this is what I like. Why is my phone at 62%? Why is it not charging? Aha! It gotten the plug a little bit. Okay. So now we have that. We got some lighter chrome that we'd like to do on the bumper on the front and the back, so we'll go ahead and do that again. This whole time these guns are drying. So we're going to go up to Ironbreaker. We're going to leave some of the darker metallic color in some of the valleys. All right, so then you have something like that. And then we're going to go around to the back side and do the same thing on the back. And I'm actually going to come in and do some dry brushing of this more brighter metal color on the rims. Now I haven't repainted the tires black. This is the primer. So when I dry brush this metal, I've got some of the metal on the side of the tire that I shouldn't have. That'll all sort itself out here in a moment. Yeah, it's actually a Nova. I had to look it up. It was a Nova, you know, which I think a Nova is just a, well, you would know. This is your time period to worry. I think a Nova is just a poor man's Chevelle. I think it's just a Chevelle with a less powerful engine. Smoking this weed called diesel grease. Oh, I bet it smells wonderful. Yeah, the Ant-Man shrinking device. I shrink cars and sell them to Tony. Yeah, this is a great looking car. I don't know how reliable it would be. I probably wouldn't want to drive one. It'd be one of those that you do this with the steering wheel and the car still keeps going straight. It's a bit sloppy in the handling, but man, it looks good. This is the striping that it came with. Why would you prime this? Why would you prime this and get rid of these beautiful stripes on here? I mean, snazzy. Now, there are some some posts. You know, we have an open window here. We have an open window here. There are some posts here. So I'm going to try to get a blue because you still need to dry a little bit more. It wouldn't hurt to dry you guys a little bit more. Okay, cool. We still got time. Like I said, we're going to knock out this guy too. That'd be pretty freaking awesome. So we're going to get some blue. We're going to match this. All right, so I got tons of blues. So the question is just find one that's kind of close. Nope, it's got a little bit more purple than that. It just has to be close. It doesn't have to be like spot on or anything. Okay, that one's probably a little bit better. Now some of these blues are really weird. Like, yeah, way too dark. They're like, some of them are super watery. That is pretty damn close. That's a pretty damn close color. We're going to go with this one. What's this? Intense blue. All right, well, we'll see if this is one of the ones that misbehaves. We still have black here. That's good. Let's give this thing a good mix. I don't need much of this stuff, but I need enough that that should be enough. All right, and it's slightly metallic, but that's not even going to play. That's not even going to play in the factor here. So we're going to take some of this stuff right here, add a little bit of black to it. And we're going to paint this column here. And same thing here. And then we'll go over here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and I think that's damn near spot on. So we're going to come over here and lighten it up a tiny little bit. Because we want this to be seen. There's no point in painting all this and it doesn't look like it's not visible. And then we're going to add a tiny little bit more white and do the same thing again. And I'll show you what I did here. I don't know if the lighting is going to be conducive to be able to see what's going on, but see the little, that was just clear plastic. The little frame there. All right, we've got that on there. That's done. There are no Novas in Arizona because they've been stolen and sent to Mexico. Mexicans love Novas, even though Nova means no go. Nova, yeah, Nova. Yeah, Nova. Well, Nova still means Nova in Spanish. Mexican love Nova. Well, I got a whole team that's going to be lowriders, and there's some cool looking cars. I'll probably like them as much as my urban team. I really like my urban guys. They are really cool. I mean, I wouldn't drive any of those vehicles, but they're cool as they're cool as combat vehicles. All right. Let's try this guy out. Actually, I don't know if there's any of these vehicles that I painted that I would want to drive. Although, you know, I wouldn't mind having a couple of M60s on the roof. You know, might come in handy in rush hour. All right. We still have metal on the tires. Okay, we still have metal, not a whole lot, but there's some metal overbrush on the tires, on the metal, on the rubber part of the tires. Don't care. It'll all straighten itself out. I used to not do this, and I realized, man, I'm creating a lot of extra work for myself when it doesn't really matter. Are these guys done? I think so. I think so. Let's, we'll start at the bottom of these, meaning with the darkest color. Get almost all this stuff out, and we're going to dry brush. Just pretend it's medieval chainmail. It's like the only thing I use to dry brush. Same thing with this one. Okay, I'll leave this ammunition thing different. We'll paint it differently. Okay, we just have the darkest color on this, which is, actually we don't. We have lead belcher. I wasn't supposed to use lead belcher. I was supposed to use Iron Warriors. Well, it will make no difference. It's not like we weren't going to put this brighter color on it anyways. Let's hang that up where I'm supposed to. Let's be a good little boy. All right, let's get chocolate brown out here. Chocolate brown. We'll start with the wheels. Good thing about a car like this is it's got enough space around the engine you could work on it. When you got Amazon, you could like freaking get all the parts you freaking need. But man, you can't do anything about being fuel inefficient. These things are probably gas hogs. And like I said, handle like crap. Because I'm sure they're rear wheel drive, you know? So you have one of those days where it's just raining cats and dogs. I would not want to be out in this vehicle. This thing would be sliding all over the place like it's on a soap road. Okay. So that's enough of that color, of the darkest of the dark. Then we have this US Field Drab. It's our middle tone. Now, one thing I forgot to do with this blue is cover up this logo. I don't hate this logo. I want to pretend this is a real vehicle, not a Hot Wheels vehicle. This is probably going to take multiple coats. This color does not cover very well. Well, we're just going to kind of cover that like that, and we'll see if the Iraqi sand can't fix that. I'll just come back and touch it up later. It's not a big deal. Rufuki, you dude, it's been a long time, yeah, man. Didn't mean that last dude. Dude, it's been a long time, dude. There's nothing wrong with that. Doing cars now, yep. Yep, it has been a long time if you haven't seen him. Yep, cars. Yep. Doing stuff for this game called Gaslands. It's like Car Wars type thing. Not that I mind doing tanks, but it's just kind of too big of an ask right now for me to try to run a World War II game. This is a lot easier to get happening. All right, we got Iraqi sand now, and that's where we're going to get some of the stuff on the top, get some of those edges. There we go. And got enough out of it. Perfect. YouTube channel's popping off. You got 46,000 views, but sadly on 82 subs. Yeah, some people just don't get it. I don't know. I had one guy that I actually knew really well, and he's an adult, and I was like, "Hey man, you should subscribe to my channel. It's got a lot of content content you're interested in." And he's like, "Yeah, I just retired though. I'm kind of on a fixed income. I can't afford to subscribe." Man, I said, "Dude, it doesn't cost you. Come on, man, it doesn't cost you anything. I don't want other people's money. You know, I want Google's money. They got plenty of money. You guys, you know, we're all on a fixed income. You know, if they don't give me the money, they're just going to give it to somebody else." You know, asking people for money, that's like Patreon and stuff like that. People are welcome to do that. That's just not my thing. I don't, you know, I want to do this stuff because I'm interested in it, and if you guys are interested in it too, that's cool. And my way of giving back, like, you might find something here that'll help you out on your painting endeavors or something like that, or just. But I don't want to ask people for money. That's not my scene. Okay, now I'm going to go really lightly on these edges. You have a PC. Good. Yeah, I get a lot more views on the phone when I'm filming on the phone. It's that algorithm crap, you know? It's kind of frustrating because the quality on the PC, if I was filming on the PC, is so much better, but it just doesn't get out to people. It just doesn't get out to people the same. Now, I like the cars because everybody's into cars. I mean, unless you're somebody who just adores public transport. Or doesn't want to drive. You know, one of those kids isn't going to want to drive, are you? I would have driven when I was 10 years old if it would let me. I'm not too worried about that logo. If it shows, it shows. It's not like it's an ugly logo. Yeah. Hot Wheels logo is actually pretty cool. Okay, so still don't have any of the drippings, but we do have these two guns, which are going to go on the roof. I'm going to go on the roof like so. No income, but you still buy comics. Well, you have to have something that you want to buy. You know? That's just no reason to fucking live. I mean, you gotta have something, you know? I don't know what color I'm gonna make the ammo, the ammo canisters, but could just leave them black. Yeah, there's that. Just leave them black and dry brush the what? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if I do that. I mean, as long as they're not the gunmetal color, that way they stand out from the rest of this. I think that'll work. I think that'll work. Now, of the two super glues, I do not want to use the one that activates immediately because it's almost impossible to get it lined up exactly how you want it, and then it'll dry, and you have to break it free, and then you got issues. So. Going to have something like that, and we're going to grab the green one. All right, let's put the other one equivalently like so. Those guns are big. Well, they're supposed to be heavies, and it's a make-believe beautiful. It's a make-believe world, so they came for this. They look like something that a Space Marine would actually have. I don't think that they actually come from, you know, they're not Space Marine parts per se, but they look like a really big G36 or something like that. Yeah, see, I need to adjust that back just a wee tad. There we go. You know, the important thing is don't have something up there that looks like this and then, oh, it's really rockets. I mean, if you want to do that, I like to see what you see is what you get. You know, you look at this and you go, oh, there's a pair of guns up there. Got it. You know. I don't know what 502 means. Certainly not horsepower. I doubt this thing has 502 horsepower. It could, I guess. That's a shitload of horsepower. God mécanique. I don't know what that means. Maybe that means good technique or something. I don't know. Good mechanic. Somebody give me a good mechanic. All right. So while that's drying, we can go ahead and do the drippings. And then once we're done with the drippings, she's done. You see, c'est magnifique. I mean, I can't take all the credit for this thing looking great. Whoever designed this car and put these stripes on here, I mean, that's why I got it. It's beautiful. You know, it's like, it looks like a race car. You know, everything's there. All right, so drippings again, soft tone. Mid brown and light tone. And I appreciate you guys coming by. If you like this kind of content, don't hesitate to subscribe. We're going to try to film like this on the phone. It seems like it gets more people. It'd be like, well, I already know you had a YouTube channel. Why? Dude, I'm filming all the time. Well, it doesn't get suggested to people unless I'm doing it mobile on a vertical screen. I mean, it's a dramatic different amount of people doing it. People get exposed to it. So we're going to come over here. We're going to add my own little blend that is different every damn time. And somehow they've got a rust problem around the door handles on this car. And it's going to drip. Okay. And same thing around here. And then maybe there's some rusty problems around these lights. It's subtle, but it keeps it from looking like it came out of a showroom. You know, I want these cars to look like they're in good shape, like they're good enough to like race around the track, win a race, shoot at each other. You can't have them looking like a piece of crap, like they're falling apart. Although I'm gonna have one that does look like a junkyard dog. Where's the gas on one of these things? Is it in the middle? I don't see a gas opening for it. And then we'll go around whatever this thing is. It's just subtle. It makes a big difference whether you have it or not. But it shouldn't, like, you know, it's just literally, it's eye candy. Like, you go over here and like the guy goes, oh, what's this over here? Just something to look at. Something to catch your attention. And I hope this is dry enough, because what I'm about to do is going to go into the mouth of the dragon here. And that is right here where it meets the road, where it meets the roof. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow there. I mean, the surface of a vehicle is a pretty large area. And if you have it looking, looking exactly the same from one side to the other. It just doesn't look very believable. Maybe there's some spillage. Maybe this thing's leaking some oil. These little subtle different shades of things on metallic parts makes it all look so much better. It's a good live stream. Thanks, man. I'm back. You have 500,000 views. I do not have 500,000 views. I just hope this goes out to people that are interested in it. That's all. There's nothing worse than people like, hey, what are you doing here? This is stupid. Like, okay, well, you're the one that came to my channel. I mean, so, can I zoom in on this thing? Yeah, okay. Well, let's see if we can. It's freaking easy. It just, it takes some effort. And this is the original color this car came in. I look at this and I'm like, why would I prime over this? It's beautiful. And like this one, there's lots of these Hot Wheels that are really attractive. Here's this Ford Focus. This frog-looking little, it's like a frog green. It's got all kinds of graphics here on the side. Like, it'd be a shame to not use that stuff. I mean, there's a stripe there in a unique color. It's a pain in the ass to put a stripe back on it. It's got sponsors. Like, I'm not going to put those sponsors on there if I have to hand paint it. It's already there. All you got to do is just enhance it. Now, it's got some enhancing you need to do. Like, look at the front grille. It's like all the details are there. Like all the little lights and turn signals and grill and, and the big lights and everything. They're there. You just have to paint them in. But, it's amazing how much detail these little cars have. And this is I think they're up to $1.24 now. Same thing. Here's the Bimbo bomber. This looks pretty freaking cool. This is gonna be a hoot to drive around and be a menace, the pink menace, and they look even better when you seal them. Guys, let me zoom out. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, good. All right, let's. Where's the other one we did the other day? This guy. The Silver Outlaw. Same thing. It's got a pair of. This is what I was talking about. The guy that did the 3D printing is like a wizard. Like, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but like this got a pair of M60s, right? And just like these machine guns, the feed mechanism. These are basically mirror images of each other. I don't know which is the real one. I have a feeling it's this one. I believe it feeds from the right, spits out bullets from the left, right? But they gave me two M60s and they're a mirror image of each other. And that's perfect because you can have it so that the bullets spit out to the outside. Now, in this case, I didn't want the magazines towards the inside. It looks better like this. But here, you have the shell casings that fall away from the car. But, yeah, again, all this striping is already on the vehicle. But, it didn't have any headlamps or any of that stuff painted. So you go online. You pull up 1970 Ford Torino, and you look at what the headlamps or the tail lamps look like, and you paint them like that, All your videos to get 460,000 views. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hopefully it gets out to the people that are interested in this. What's this little old guy right here? Okay, here's a perfect example. Okay, for my urban crew, right? My urban crew, I found this car, and it's got big old rims, and it's got a freaking wrapper on it. I'm like, why would I repaint this? You know, this is like, you know, cool. Like, I wouldn't drive something like this, but it's neat, you know? It's a lot of fun. I believe I got this from a rescue from, like, basically, like, people were going to throw this stuff away. I'm like, don't throw that away. I could use that. You know? 49 Mercury. Man, this thing's really, really wide. You know? This is the color it came in. You know, I'm not going to put those flames on there. I mean, I could, but I'd do, you know, a car a month. Or a car every 2 months if I did that, instead of doing one every 2 hours. You know, so, you know, you could definitely save a lot of time using the stuff that's already there. And so these two cars, the Nova and the Bimbo Bomber, I don't know what the Nova's called yet, okay? Because I gotta use some inspiration. Oh my God, I actually built a car that I don't know what it's called first. Well, there's a first time for everything. But you're constipated. Well, it's better than the opposite. The van makes me think of that post-apocalyptic series with that clown in Vegas. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen it, but this Torino's badass. That's a good looking car. Some of these cars from 1970s, just really good looking. 60s and 70s, really good looking cars. Excruciatingly gas inefficient, but anyhow, this is where we're going to stop the feed. We'll go seal these guys up, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning on the flip side. All right, folks, thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.